the easy way or the hard way. It's a phrase usually reserved for cinematic villains, but it's now the centerpiece of a geopolitical firestorm involving the United States and the world's largest island. Welcome back to Insights Brief. Today, we're analyzing a provocative segment from Newsnight with Abby Phillip. The headlines are dominated by Donald Trump's renewed interest in acquiring Greenland, a move that sounds like a throwback to the era of Manifest Destiny, delivered with the blunt force of a 1950s ultimatum. While the administration frames this as a strategic necessity, critics, and even close advisors like Stephen Miller, view it through a different lens. The ultimate play for power and legacy. Is this a calculated move for Arctic resources, or is it a quest for a trophy acquisition to cement a presidency in the history books? Let's look at the footage and deconstruct the rhetoric. Is this diplomacy, or is it a hostile takeover in the making? Let's dive in.
Donald Trump is ramping up his threats against Greenland, suggesting that if the United States doesn't take over, its adversaries will.
We are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? Make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
Top diplomats for Greenland and Denmark met with the White House on Thursday as Greenland continues to insist that it is not for sale. One fascinating piece of information in the CNN reporting on this is that despite Trump proclaiming he wants to purchase Greenland since 2019, neither he nor anyone else in the administration has ever privately broached the idea with the Danish or Greenlandic officials. That's according to diplomats familiar with the issue. So what is this all about? They just want to make a bunch of noises about it, even though they're not offering a price? Or do they really want to threaten Greenland at gunpoint?
We're not threatening Greenland at gunpoint. They do want to make a deal. The correct answer here is he's negotiating. And his impulse on this, his strategic impulse, is not only correct, but it is rooted in over 150 years of American strategic thinking, no less than William Seward wanted it.
There is a fine line between a strategic negotiation and a geopolitical threat. As the conversation around the acquisition of Greenland intensifies, that line isn't just being blurred, it's being erased. During a recent exchange, Scott Jennings framed Donald Trump's easy way or the hard way rhetoric as a standard negotiation tactic. However, looking at the history of international relations, this isn't the language of a dealmaker, it's the language of an ultimatum. When you give a sovereign territory a choice between compliance and the hard way, you've moved past the boardroom and into the realm of intimidation. To suggest that this is merely a bold tactic ignores the reality of modern diplomacy. It raises a critical question. Can a partnership truly be formed under the shadow of a threat? Today, we're breaking down the segment to see if this is a serious policy shift or a dangerous precedent in foreign affairs. Take a look at the footage for yourself and let's discuss the implications in the comments. Is this a new era of tough diplomacy, or is it a step too far?
But if it's not at gunpoint, then why did he say the hard way? What's the hard way?
He's negotiating.
What's the hard way?
That's not a negotiation.
We're not
the hard way is not a negotiation.
We're going to buy it. My prediction is we're going to buy it, and we'll all be happy about it when we do. Denmark should talk to the president about this because A, they don't have the capacity to defend it from the Russians or the Chinese.
Well, that is why they are in NATO.
And B, they don't do a good job of it.
Guess what, Scott?
Anyway, so
they are NATO allies.
Right.
So if they don't have the capacity,
and they have
that's
21,000 military people.
Yeah,
but
that's what
it's a population of 56,000 people.
No, we're not here. I know we are, but if we're obligated to defend it and we can do a better job with it, why isn't the president in his right to say maybe we should just own it?
But that is the whole point of NATO.
And people who live there.
And if the United
30,000 people.
56,000 people, and
if they voted to join the United States, that would be amazing.
But they didn't. They're not voting to join the United States.
They haven't
So
had
this
a chance
weird
yet.
ass. But they have said that there was an extensive report on 60 Minutes where they were clear.
Oh,
they
60
had
Minutes
no.
said it? Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, your favorite girl.
In the world of political commentary, consistency is the ultimate currency. But lately, we're seeing a glaring double standard that calls the entire narrative into question. During this segment, we see Scott Jennings dismiss 60 Minutes as unreliable, a bold claim considering his previous reliance on the New York Post as a definitive source of truth. It's a strategic pivot that's hard to ignore, mocking a long-standing journalistic institution while championing a tabloid known for its sensationalist track record. This isn't just about which outlet you prefer, it's about the selective use of facts to suit a specific agenda. You can't claim a source is gospel one day and then label the next fake simply because the reporting is inconvenient. It's a contradiction that undermines the very argument Jennings is trying to build. Let's watch the clips back to back. Does this rhetoric hold up under scrutiny, or are we just seeing a masterclass in media bias? Let's dive in.
Girlfriend Barry Weiss wins it, so I thought that 60 Minutes was good with you guys. But the point is,
talking to these people.
but they're not trying to talk to them. And the point is, if we go in and we're saying we're going to take Greenland the hard way, they are a member of NATO. That means our European allies are obligated to protect Greenland. And we basically, since Donald Trump has come in office, he's threatened to annex Canada, the Panama Canal, and now Greenland. His global ambitions are starting to mirror that of Putin, except we are Russia in this.
You're arguing that the hard way is militarily. I don't think that that's necessarily what he means.
So what is
that is precisely what he meant. That's what he's
deal with
done.
the vote in Greenland and get them all on board to vote.
Okay,
That's not what he means. There's lots of hard ways
Can I
to
just say, it would be so great to the audience to not piss in our face and tell us it's raining. He is not talking about having any kind of negotiations. We have seen his negotiations in Nigeria. We have seen his negotiations on the global stage with a lot of other places. It's ridiculous to suggest that. He is talking about, when he says the hard way, we are very clear on what he means. This isolates us even further. This isolates us even further on the global stage with our European allies. And they've been an amazing ally to us. They showed up during the Afghanistan war disproportionately to other nations.
Where this intelligence is that says a threat is imminent from China and Russia. This is why the American people sit at home and go, I can't believe these people are running the country. Do you really want people to think that China and Russia are going, I got to have Greenland. I don't care. I'm going. You know what Trump is doing? He's treating Greenland like it's a condo with bad curb appeal, and he's going to come in and clean it up.
You seem to be...
So here's the thing. There's also another country between us and Greenland. What is it? Oh, Canada. So Canada, who's an ally, is never going to come to our defense if there is an attack in the area of Greenland. This is just a power play. And Venezuela was just the appetizer.
Let me play what Trump said to the New York Times. let me play this. Might answer your question. Trump said to the New York Times about whether he would sacrifice NATO for Greenland.
If you had to choose between obtaining Greenland and preserving NATO, what's your higher priority there?
Well, I don't want to say that to you, but it may be a choice.
I don't know if the threat here is that he's going to threaten to dissolve NATO and try to force the hand of the Danes to somehow sell him Greenland. But that seems like a pretty risky bargain to strike here.
That's a silly question. These are not either or propositions.
Then why did he say it may be?
Because he's non-committal about everything. He's non-committal about everything.
I just love how you're like, that's a ridiculous question. Meanwhile, Trump is like, yeah, you're right. It might be a choice. Right.
He's non-committal about everything.
I mean, do you believe that Trump says what he means? Do you believe that he's smart enough to answer a question if he thinks?
Isn't it a really
ridiculous?
simple question? Are you going to sleep better at night knowing that we own Greenland?
Yes.
Are you losing
absolutely.
sleep?
Absolutely.
I'm not.
Absolutely.
I mean, you only seem to be but moderately familiar with the shape of the Earth and the globe.
No, I hear it's round.
Is sitting.
Is that right?
It is sitting right between us and Russia. You do have Russia circling around. You do have China circling around. It has critical earth minerals.
It's been circling around for decades and
have
decades.
military bases there.
Just because it's there doesn't mean we can't
already have
defend it.
military bases
and Europe
there.
and
But you're
Europe
talking about
and
these
Denmark
things,
hasn't done a
Scott.
great job with this. We could do well with this,
Why
and we
can't
could
we
do
do
But
well.
we can do well with a
without
lot of things.
occupying
But we can do well with a lot of things, Scott. How does that justify going in and colonizing a country? Just I want it, so I'm
It's a
going to take
big
it.
iceberg.
Listen, I
You cannot just go
continue
into
to ask the
somebody's
question.
homeland and say it's
If
mine. I
Trump
want to
is
take it.
serious about buying Greenland.
It's not
why
Denmark's
hasn't-
homeland.
why
They
hasn't
took it
he
over.
It's the
made
people who
an
live in
offer?
Greenland. It's their homeland, and they said they don't want to be a part of America.
Actually raised this issue privately?
Well, we
with
don't know if he
Greenland
has
or the
raised it
Danes?
privately or not.
Hey, the reporting I just read to you
Well-
is that they have never, since 2019, when he first brought this up, they have never raised this issue privately to the Danes or to the Greenlanders. Why? If he's so serious about it, why hasn't it ever come up privately?
I don't know that it hasn't come up privately. I don't care that it was reported that way. President Trump's been clear on this. And by the way, again, there's no military action that's going to happen here. The hard way does not mean we're
How
going
do
to
you know
send
that?
troops in.
You might want to tell
because you
Stephen
don't even
Miller
need to
that.
do that.
Exactly.
There's 30,000 people.
You might
Stephen
wanna
Miller
tell
doesn't
Stephen
even know
Miller
that
that.
Denmark legally owns the place.
The whole point of this is that every question is to try to get some way that Trump wouldn't go after Greenland, meaning like the NATO thing. Would you dissolve NATO or give up Greenland? That's an idiotic question for a reporter to ask.
It's not.
Because-
How is that an idiotic question?
Aren't you concerned about the
I mean,
message to the world if this
He can
happens? Which is-
strengthen NATO at every
Guys,
turn.
if
makes
it's
the
an
world
If
cynical.
it's an idiotic question, if it's really off the table, the White House could take it off the table at any moment. They could say we
He
are
doesn't
not
negotiate
under
with
any
reporters, Abby. He
circumstances
never has.
considering invading a NATO ally. They could take that off the table. That would not be an unreasonable thing to do. They are the ones not doing that. On top of that, then you have Stephen Miller saying it's about force and it's about power and we can do whatever we want. Greenland belongs to us. That's what he said. So look, my question actually, I think buying it might be the only way because invading Greenland would be catastrophic. But I'm still wondering, what's the price? What's the price that Trump's willing to pay? What's the price the American people are willing
Well, you
to
have
pay?
30,000
And that
people
there's no
there.
answer to that question.
Well, here's an easier
it's
answer.
57,000.
Well, whatever you pay, a certain number of those people, if there's a certain amount of money, they're going to vote a
If
certain
it's a
way.
small
That's
number of people, does that
unfortunately-
mean they have
Is it possible to simply buy a nation's loyalty? The latest proposal regarding Greenland hinges on a massive financial promise to its citizens. But a closer look at the math reveals some glaring inconsistencies. The administration is floating the idea that a US buyout would result in direct windfalls for Greenland's 57,000 residents. But geopolitics doesn't work like a real estate commission. Sovereign acquisitions aren't direct deposit events for citizens. They are complex, multi-generational shifts in governance. To suggest that every resident would suddenly see a life-changing payout is, at best, a misunderstanding of international law and, at worst, a total fabrication. Then there's the question of the checkbook. Who is actually paying for this? With the US already facing significant domestic economic hurdles, the idea of a multi-billion-dollar territorial purchase raises immediate red flags. Is this taxpayer funded? Or are we looking at a private sector partnership that would place a sovereign island in the hands of billionaires rather than the American people? We're told the goal is to fix America, yet the focus seems to be on a massive Arctic expansion we haven't budgeted for. It's a classic case of over-promising on the global stage, while the domestic ledger tells a much different story. Does the strategic value of Greenland justify this kind of spending, or is this just an expensive distraction? Let's break down the actual costs in the comments.
How purchasing entire countries
And are their
works,
rights any
but
less because
next
it's
for
only
us, the president takes a
57,000
policy page from the one.
That's the core of the discussion. While Scott Jennings and the panel might try to dismiss these questions as silly or hypothetical, the reality is that the president himself isn't treating them that way. By choosing to answer directly, and by explicitly refusing to rule out economic or military coercion, Trump has moved this from a what-if scenario to a matter of official intent. When a world leader says we'll do things the easy way or the hard way, he isn't just talking about a real estate deal. He's signaling a fundamental shift in how the US views sovereign allies and international law. Whether you agree with the strategy or not, the era of polite diplomacy has clearly been replaced by a much more aggressive, expansionist posture. That's going to do it for today's deep dive. I want to thank you all for the incredible support the channel has seen lately. We're going to keep breaking these stories down for as long as we can, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next update. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Is this a silly question, or is the world right to be on edge? Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.